Mark stands outside the hospital, his heart racing as he prepares for the press conference. The air is thick with anticipation as reporters gather around him, cameras flashing and microphones poised to capture every word. He knows this moment is crucial, not just for Anna, but for everyone who has faced injustice. As he steps up to the podium, Mark takes a deep breath, feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. He looks out at the crowd of reporters and supporters who have come to stand with him. This is not just about one woman, it is about a community demanding change. He begins to speak, his voice steady but filled with emotion. He shares Anna's story, detailing the attack and its impact on their lives. Mark emphasizes that they will not be silent, they will fight for justice and accountability. With each word, he feels the energy of the crowd behind him, a wave of support that strengthens his resolve. Before we continue with the story, you should comment where you are watching from. If you are enjoying this story, do not forget to hit that subscribe button. We have another episode for you tomorrow. As Mark speaks, social media begins to buzz with activity. People across the country start sharing their outrage using hashtags like #JusticeForAnna. The movement gains momentum as more and more voices join in, amplifying their message. Posts flood timelines with stories of similar experiences, creating a powerful wave of solidarity. The media coverage spreads quickly, drawing attention from news outlets and online platforms. Mark watches as reporters type furiously, eager to share Anna's story with the world. The hashtags trend on social media, capturing public interest and igniting conversations about police brutality and racial injustice. As the press conference continues, Mark feels a mix of hope and determination. He knows that this is just the beginning of a larger movement. The public outrage grows stronger by the minute as more people learn about what happened to Anna. Supporters begin to gather around him, holding signs that read "Justice for Anna" and "No more violence." Their presence reinforces Mark's message and shows that they are not alone in this fight. The crowd's energy rises as they chant in unison, their voices echoing through the streets. Mark's heart swells with pride as he sees the community come together. This moment is bigger than him and Anna. It represents a collective demand for justice that cannot be ignored. He understands that their fight is resonating far beyond their town. As news spreads on social media, people from different cities start organizing their own protests in support of Anna. Videos of Mark's speech go viral, inspiring others to share their stories and join the movement. The hashtags continue to trend, becoming a rallying cry for those who have faced similar injustices. The conflict deepens as more voices join in, demanding accountability from law enforcement. Mark realizes that they are tapping into a larger conversation about race and justice in America. This moment has sparked something powerful, a movement fueled by shared experiences and a desire for change. As Mark concludes his speech, he feels a surge of energy from the crowd around him. They are united in their mission to seek justice not just for Anna, but for all those who have suffered at the hands of injustice. The atmosphere is electric with hope and determination. With renewed strength, Mark steps down from the podium, knowing that this is only the beginning. The fight for justice will be long and challenging, but together they will push forward. The community stands behind him, ready to mobilize for change. As he looks at the sea of supporters holding signs high above their heads, Mark feels invigorated by their passion. They are no longer just individuals, they are part of something much larger, a movement that will demand justice until their voices are heard loud and clear. The camera captures this pivotal moment as it pans out to show the growing crowd outside the hospital, an army of advocates ready to stand up against injustice and fight for a better future for all. As the crowd begins to disperse after the press conference, a wave of community support washes over Mark and Anna. Activists and civil rights leaders step forward, eager to stand with the Smith family in their fight for justice. They introduce themselves and share their commitment to supporting Anna and Mark. Their presence brings a renewed sense of hope and strength to the couple. These leaders bring with them a wealth of experience in mobilizing communities and advocating for change. They discuss strategies for raising awareness about Anna's situation and how to keep the momentum going. Mark listens intently, absorbing their wisdom and guidance. He feels grateful to have such passionate individuals rallying around them. As they talk, Mark reflects on his own past. Flashbacks begin to surface, revealing his military background. He remembers the day he enlisted, driven by a desire to serve his country and protect those who could not protect themselves. The rigorous training taught him discipline, resilience, and the importance of standing up for what is right. He recalls moments from his time in service when he witnessed injustice firsthand. There were instances where he saw fellow soldiers treated unfairly because of their backgrounds or beliefs. Each experience left a mark on him, fueling a fire within him to fight against inequality. Mark remembers one particular incident during his deployment when he stood up for a comrade who was being bullied by others. It took courage to speak out, but he knew it was the right thing to do. That moment solidified his belief in fighting for justice, no matter the cost. As he shares these memories with the activists around him, they nod in understanding. They recognize that Mark's experiences have shaped his determination to seek justice for Anna. His military background has instilled in him a strong sense of duty, a duty that now extends beyond serving his country to serving his community. The activists encourage Mark to use his story as a tool for inspiration. They remind him that every voice matters, and together they can amplify their message far beyond their town. Mark feels empowered by their support and realizes that his past has prepared him for this very moment. With renewed energy, they brainstorm ideas for upcoming rallies and events to raise awareness about Anna's situation. They discuss how to engage more people in the movement, ensuring that her story reaches as many ears as possible. The excitement in the air is palpable as they plan ways to mobilize the community. Mark looks around at the diverse group of supporters gathered around him, people from different backgrounds united by a common goal. He feels a sense of belonging among them, knowing that they are all fighting for justice together. As discussions continue, Mark's determination grows stronger. He understands that this fight will not be easy, there will be obstacles ahead. But with the support of activists, civil rights leaders, and their community behind them, he feels ready to face whatever challenges come their way. The camera captures this pivotal moment of solidarity as Mark stands at the center of a growing movement, an embodiment of hope and resilience fueled by shared experiences and a commitment to justice. Together with Anna and their supporters, they are ready to take on the fight for change with unwavering determination. Mark knows that to seek justice for Anna, they must build a strong legal case against Officer Johnson. He begins assembling a team of experienced lawyers who specialize in civil rights cases. Each lawyer brings a wealth of knowledge and a passion for fighting injustice. Mark feels a sense of relief knowing they are in capable hands. As the lawyers gather in Mark's living room, they discuss the details of the case. They review evidence, witness statements, and the video footage from the grocery store. Mark listens intently, taking notes and asking questions. He wants to ensure that every angle is covered, every detail accounted for. The lawyers explain the legal process ahead and what to expect as they prepare to take action against Johnson. Meanwhile, the community rallies around Mark and Anna. News of their fight spreads quickly, igniting public interest and outrage. Activists from various organizations join forces with Mark's team, ready to support their cause. They brainstorm strategies for raising awareness and mobilizing more people to join their efforts. As preparations continue, public protests begin to take shape outside the police precinct. The atmosphere is charged with energy as community members gather with signs demanding justice for Anna. Chants fill the air, echoing their determination to hold Officer Johnson accountable for his actions. Scenes of the protests unfold, showing people of all ages and backgrounds coming together in solidarity. Families bring their children, teaching them the importance of standing up for what is right. Friends hold hands as they march side by side, united by a common goal. Mark joins the protests, feeling empowered by the support surrounding him. He speaks with reporters, sharing Anna's story and calling for justice. The media coverage amplifies their message, reaching audiences far beyond their town. Hashtags like #JusticeForAnna continue to trend on social media, drawing attention from people across the country. As protests grow larger, tensions begin to escalate. Some officers stand outside the precinct, watching the crowd with wary eyes. The protesters remain peaceful but firm in their demands. They understand that this fight is not just about Anna, it represents a broader struggle against systemic injustice. Mark feels a mix of hope and anxiety as he witnesses the growing movement around him. He knows that while they are gaining traction, there will be challenges ahead. He remains focused on building a strong case while also supporting Anna's healing process. The camera captures powerful moments from the protests, people holding signs that read "No justice, no peace," and stand up against police brutality. Their voices rise in unison, creating a chorus of determination that cannot be ignored. As night falls, candles are lit in memory of those who have suffered at the hands of injustice. The flickering lights symbolize hope and resilience amidst darkness. Mark stands among the crowd, feeling inspired by their unity and strength. He knows that this movement is gaining momentum, but he also understands that it is only one part of their fight for justice. With his legal team working diligently behind the scenes and the community rallying around them, Mark feels ready to face whatever comes next. Together with Anna and their supporters, they are committed to pushing forward, determined to ensure that Officer Johnson is held accountable for his actions and that no one else has to endure what Anna has faced. The fight for justice continues to grow stronger with each passing day as they stand united against injustice. The day arrives when Mark feels it is time to confront Officer Johnson directly. With the support of his legal team and community activists, he prepares to deliver a court order demanding Johnson's suspension. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation as they gather outside the police precinct, ready to make their voices heard. Mark stands at the forefront, holding the court order tightly in his hand. His heart pounds in his chest as he approaches the precinct doors. He knows this moment is crucial, not just for Anna, but for everyone who has faced injustice at the hands of those sworn to protect them. As Mark steps inside, he is met with a mix of surprised and wary looks from officers on duty. He strides confidently toward the front desk, where a sergeant sits. The sergeant raises an eyebrow, recognizing Mark from previous protests. Mark calmly states his intention to deliver the court order to Officer Johnson. The sergeant hesitates but eventually nods, signaling for Mark to wait. Moments later, Officer Johnson appears, his expression unreadable. The tension in the air thickens as Mark locks eyes with him. Johnson's demeanor is composed, but Mark can sense the underlying tension as he approaches. Mark holds up the court order, his voice steady as he demands that Johnson be suspended immediately due to the attack on Anna. The words hang heavy in the air between them. Johnson's expression shifts slightly, revealing a flicker of irritation mixed with defiance. Mark feels a surge of adrenaline as he stands firm, refusing to back down. He knows that this confrontation is about more than just one officer, it represents a larger fight against systemic injustice. The stakes are high, and he is determined to see this through. Johnson tries to maintain his composure, but Mark can see the tension in his jaw. The officer takes a step closer, attempting to assert his authority. The atmosphere crackles with intensity as they face off, two men on opposite sides of a growing conflict. Around them, officers and staff watch closely, sensing the weight of the moment. Some whisper among themselves while others remain silent, their eyes glued to the unfolding confrontation. Mark feels their gaze, but stays focused on Johnson. As Mark reads from the court order, outlining the details of Anna's attack and the demand for suspension, he notices a shift in Johnson's posture. The officer's bravado begins to waver as he realizes that this is not just a simple confrontation, it is a public demand for accountability. Mark's voice rises slightly as he emphasizes the importance of justice and safety within the community. He knows that people are watching, both inside the precinct and outside where supporters have gathered in solidarity. This moment could set a precedent for how such cases are handled in the future. Johnson shifts uncomfortably but tries to maintain an air of authority. He responds with vague reassurances about following procedures and protocols, but Mark remains undeterred. He presses on, demanding that action be taken immediately. The tension escalates further as Mark refuses to accept Johnson's evasive answers. He stands tall, fueled by anger for what happened to Anna and determination to see justice served. The atmosphere becomes electric as both men refuse to back down. Outside, supporters chant for justice while holding signs high above their heads. Their voices echo through the precinct walls, adding weight to Mark's demands inside. He can feel their energy bolstering his resolve as he faces Johnson head-on. As they continue their standoff, Mark knows that this confrontation is pivotal, not just for him and Anna, but for everyone who has been affected by police violence and injustice. He remains steadfast in his commitment to seeking accountability. The camera captures this intense moment, a clash between authority and advocacy, as Mark stands firm against Officer Johnson's attempts to deflect responsibility. The outcome remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: this fight for justice will not be silenced or ignored. With every passing second, Mark feels more empowered by the support surrounding him and by the knowledge that they are all fighting for something greater than themselves, a future where justice prevails over injustice. As the confrontation between Mark and Officer Johnson intensifies, the atmosphere is thick with tension. Mark stands resolute, determined to hold Johnson accountable for his actions against Anna. The crowd outside can be heard chanting for justice, their voices echoing through the precinct. In the midst of this serious standoff, an unexpected moment of humor breaks through the tension. An activist standing nearby, who has been listening intently, takes a step forward to support Mark. As he gestures emphatically while speaking, he accidentally knocks over his cup of coffee. The hot liquid spills directly onto Officer Johnson's uniform. The moment feels surreal as everyone freezes for a split second. Johnson's eyes widen in shock as he looks down at the coffee staining his shirt. The crowd bursts into laughter, breaking the heavy atmosphere that had settled over the confrontation. Mark can't help but chuckle as he sees Johnson's flustered reaction. The activist quickly apologizes, trying to clean up the mess with napkins while stammering out excuses. This light-hearted moment provides a brief comic relief amid the seriousness of their fight for justice. Johnson, trying to regain his composure, wipes at his shirt with irritation. The laughter from the crowd seems to disarm him slightly, and for just a moment, he appears less intimidating. The tension that had been building starts to dissipate as people share knowing smiles and chuckles. Mark seizes this unexpected opportunity to lighten the mood even further. He turns to the crowd and jokes about how Johnson might need a new uniform after this encounter. The laughter grows louder, and even some officers in the precinct can't help but crack a smile. This comic relief shifts the energy in the room. Mark feels a renewed sense of empowerment as he realizes that they are not just fighting against injustice, they are also reclaiming their power through solidarity and humor. It reminds everyone present that even in serious moments, there is room for levity. As Johnson tries to regain control of the situation, Mark continues to press forward with his demands. The laughter lingers in the air, creating a sense of camaraderie among supporters. They are united not just in their fight for justice, but also in their ability to find light even in dark times. The activist who spilled the coffee stands back, slightly embarrassed, but relieved that he could bring some laughter into an intense moment. He joins Mark and others in chanting for justice once more, feeling invigorated by the support around him. Mark knows that this moment will be remembered, not just for its humor but for how it showcased their resilience against authority. They are not just victims, they are a community standing together, ready to confront injustice with courage and unity. As Officer Johnson attempts to brush off the coffee spill and regain his authority, Mark feels emboldened by the laughter and support surrounding him. This unexpected twist serves as a reminder that they will not be silenced or intimidated. The camera captures this pivotal moment, a blend of tension and humor, as Mark stands firm against Officer Johnson while laughter echoes through the precinct. With renewed strength from this shared experience, they continue their fight for justice with unwavering determination. As the laughter begins to fade, Officer Johnson, visibly flustered, is escorted away by a couple of fellow officers. Mark watches as Johnson walks past him, a mix of satisfaction and determination swelling within him. This moment feels like a small victory, but Mark knows that the fight is far from over. With Johnson gone, Mark takes a deep breath, feeling the weight of the day's events settle in. He looks around at the supporters gathered in the precinct. Their faces reflect a blend of hope and resolve. They have come together to stand against injustice, and this moment has strengthened their bond. Mark reflects on the journey ahead. He knows that they will face challenges as they push for accountability and justice for Anna. The road will be long and filled with obstacles, but he feels ready to face whatever comes next. The support of the community fuels his determination. As he stands there, a news crew arrives to cover the aftermath of the confrontation. A reporter sets up her camera and begins to speak about the incident. She highlights not only Mark's demands for justice, but also hints at deeper issues within the police department itself. The report suggests that this incident may be just one part of a larger pattern of corruption and misconduct. Mark listens intently as the reporter details previous complaints against Officer Johnson and raises questions about systemic problems within law enforcement. The implications of her words resonate deeply with him, igniting a fire in his belly. This is not just about one officer, it is about a system that needs to change. The news report captures footage of the protests outside, showcasing the community's involvement and growing support for Anna's cause. Mark feels a swell of pride as he sees people holding signs and chanting for justice on screen. This movement is gaining traction, and their voices are being heard. As the report concludes, Mark realizes that their fight could spark broader conversations about policing and accountability across the country. He understands that they are part of something much larger than themselves, a movement for change that could inspire others to stand up against injustice. With renewed determination, Mark turns back to his supporters. He knows that they must keep pushing forward, not just for Anna but for everyone who has suffered from police violence and discrimination. Together, they can shine a light on these issues and demand accountability from those in power. As the crowd begins to disperse, Mark feels hopeful about what lies ahead. He knows that they will continue to mobilize, raise awareness, and advocate for justice. The journey will be challenging, but he believes in their strength as a community. With each step away from the precinct, Mark feels more empowered than ever. He knows that their fight is just beginning, but he is ready to face it head-on alongside Anna and their supporters. Together, they will work tirelessly to ensure that no one else has to endure what Anna has faced. The camera captures this pivotal moment as Mark walks away from the precinct, his head held high, filled with hope and determination for the future. The fight for justice continues, fueled by a community united in purpose and ready to challenge injustice wherever it may arise.